Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Healthy Eating for Busy People. My name is Shannon Parks. I am your on-site health coach with UMR, and I will be presenting today. I am a registered dietitian by trade and want to let you know before proceeding in today's presentation that any and all information contained within today's presentation is simply for educational purposes only. Oops, my camera. For educational purposes only and should be utilized as such. Any specific health information or questions that you have should be directed to your in-network healthcare provider. And this is not a substitute for medical advice in any way. I am so happy to be here with you. I imagine that you're here because you are a busy person and you are looking to figure out how to eat healthier as a busy person. And let me tell you, I completely understand. Not only as a registered dietitian do I help people with that very thing every single day, but I also understand just the pace of life. It feels like it's getting faster and faster every single day. And being able to maintain a focus on our health as well as everything else that has become priority can be really challenging. So, all that to say, I'm really glad that you're here. My intention is to keep today's presentation relatively short and to allow you all an excellent opportunity to just ask open-ended questions here relative to your specific situation and healthy eating in your life. So let's go ahead and dive on in and get started. And I do want to encourage you throughout today's presentation, please utilize the chat for any questions that you have or any comments, anything that you would like to add. I do intend to go back through the chat at the end of today's session and look at all of the questions and feedback that you provided. So feel free to drop anything that you'd like to ask there in the chat, and we'll make sure that we attend to those items. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. So this image, when I was creating this presentation, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this image is the perfect representation of how it might feel as a busy person, right? Always in motion, always on the go, always doing something, meeting with someone, catching a deadline. Does any of that sound familiar to anybody here? I'm sure that you're probably nodding your heads yes, or at least in your mind going, yep, that sounds familiar. I mean, honestly, with so many things to keep up with during the day, eating healthy can really quickly fall to the bottom of the list. And there's no shame in that. That's just the reality, right? And that can happen especially easily if we don't have a solid framework in place to make eating well a priority throughout our work week and our weekends. So that can cue quick choices like takeout, Uber Eats or other food delivery services, drive-through fast food restaurants, and vending machines or convenience store items that satisfy the need to eat, that primal hunger, right? But that's not, those choices aren't really fueling our body with the nourishment that we need to eat and perform in life well. Many of us may also be familiar with the detriments of not eating well, right? You feel the physical effects like that, such as undesirable brain fog, hunger that then turns into hanger or irritability, reduced focus, productivity, etc. The list goes on and on. It really does impact us. But there's some good news. And the good news is that today we're here to discuss some solutions for that together. We're going to talk about my top tips to promote healthy eating, no matter how busy your schedule might be, no matter how many things you might feel like you're juggling right now. And like I said, I plan to leave time at the end for your specific questions. So keep those questions in mind or drop them in the chat because we're going to go over them. But all that said, let's go ahead and dive into my top tips. Plan to plan. And I apologize if that is a little bit dark on the slide. I did not realize how dark it was until I published the PowerPoint. So I apologize for that. But we all know that old saying, right? Fail to plan, plan to fail. We've all heard that before. Put plainly, planning really helps us adhere to the goals and the ideas that we have, whether it's healthy eating or otherwise. For some people, planning their weekly menu helps them to stick to eating healthy throughout a busy work week. And for others, they might take this a step further in meal prepping in addition to meal planning. And even still, for other individuals, planning may look entirely differently, such as blocking out time on a calendar for water breaks or meal times or snacks, or even blocking out time for planning. Menu planning can also include meals eaten outside of the home, but having a plan makes us much more likely to stick to the plan than not having a plan at all. Ironically, I had a coaching session with someone today that said, I really need to just block out my lunchtime. And that was one of the goals that we set. Block out lunch, right? Plan for a healthy lunch. Plan some time to have a healthy lunch. Our work life can really overstep into our personal life really easily. So, making our calendar work for us and not against us is key. Carving out consistent time each week to review the plan and to plan for the week ahead. This can look like something broader, such as menu planning your meals for the week, which I do towards the end of my week or maybe even on the weekend, or it can look like something a little bit more fine-tuned, such as plugging in reminders into your calendar for snacks or meal times or breaks to drink water and stay hydrated. So, I've got some tips for you for planning. 3 tips. My first tip here is to start by looking at the week or two ahead and take note of the evenings that you have other commitments and won't be able to prepare a meal or will need to have a pre-prepared meal on hand to set yourself up for success. And that can go for like lunch meetings too, right? Like, oh, I know on Thursday I have this meeting that's taking place at lunch. That can be a part of the plan. You can do this for any of your meals throughout the day or all of your meals. From there, step 2, you can then identify when you're available to cook and decide of those number of days that you're available to cook, how many nights you'd like to cook. Now, that may be all of the available nights, and that may be none of the available nights. But for regardless kind of where you fall in that broad spectrum, in between the two extremes of wanting to cook all the time or not wanting to cook any of the time, you can find what best suits you and your lifestyle as well as your cooking preferences. And that's what's key here, right? Making the plan work for you. Third is having a plan can include things like leftovers, takeout, dining out, grabbing a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store or a bagged salad kit, or commitments that surround a meal. The premise here is just to simply have a plan, however that plan may look for you. So take it easy. I always encourage people when you're starting to do some meal planning to go ahead and start with your easiest meal every day because it's going to instill that feeling of self-integrity of I set out to do this, I was able to accomplish it, and now I can successfully go forward and have encouragement or motivation to plan other meals. So depending on, you individually, that meal may be different as far as where you start. All right, let's move on to my next tip for healthy eating for busy people, which is to minimize prep. So, stocking the kitchen or the workplace with healthier, ready to use products can help cut food prep significantly. And for a lot of busy individuals, any bit of time saving really does matter. So, with options on hand, meals are going to come together quicker, less cooking equipment is needed, and cleanup is quicker. And I don't know about you all, but cleanup being quicker is like music to my ears. That takes so much time, and if it can be quicker, that's even better. Convenience foods overall tend to get a bad reputation. However, sometimes they're more helpful than harmful. Now, this isn't a permission slip to go eat all sorts of convenience foods, but let's consider things like frozen or pre-cut vegetables or pre-cut fruits. They're still packed with tons of nutrients, but minimal preparation is needed on our part. Has anybody here ever made like a vegetable laden dish, like tons of veggies in there, and you just feel like you're chopping forever? I've been there. I see you. I get it, right? So minimizing the prep with pre-chopped vegetables can be really helpful and still really, really healthy. And it's going to make an excellent choice for busy people, quite frankly. So, pre prepared fruits and vegetable trays can quickly be incorporated into snacks or meals on the fly, which is really great. Other convenience foods, such as individually packaged nuts or steel cut oats, can help bring together a meal in a jiffy, providing whole food nutrients that our body needs with minimal effort. Combine those two, the nuts and the oatmeal, with some frozen berries, and you're well on your way to a balanced meal in under 5 minutes time. Frozen riced cauliflower, parboiled brown rice, or whole grain pasta can help cut down cooking time by about 15 to 25 minutes per item at mealtime. Grains typically take quite a while to cook, but keeping steam in the bag or frozen pre-cooked grains on hand makes meal times a whole lot easier and quicker throughout the week. Canned beans, canned tuna, tofu crumbles, rotisserie chicken with the skin removed. These are all great examples of quick protein sources that are convenient in nature. And instead of spending hours soaking and boiling beans, searing fish or tofu, or roasting a chicken, incorporating these quick proteins can really help make healthy meals possible for busy people like you and I. And that can be really, really helpful, right? Like I said, any sort of time saving can feel like a breath of fresh air for busy people who feel like they're already juggling a lot. Let's talk about batch cooking. Batch cooking is my saving grace, you guys. I used to do meal prep where I would prep meal, one or two meals for the whole week. And I got really tired of leftovers. So I switched to batch cooking, which is essentially cooking once and eating multiple times. So at dinner time, I typically make more of whatever I'm preparing for dinner so that me and my spouse can have it for lunch the next day. That's a really easy example of batch cooking. So if I'm making salmon fillets, let's say I'm making 2 pieces of salmon, I'm going to make 4 pieces of salmon. The same amount of time to cook it all, but now I've saved myself the time of having to cook another meal for lunch tomorrow, or, cook it at another time and take it for lunch. Batch cooking is essentially just preparing larger quantities of food to reduce that burden of cooking while allowing you to eat the prepared food for multiple meals. So, in a nutshell, cooking more food less often. Though it does require scheduling a block of time to cook, for most people, this can fall on the weekends if you're doing that huge meal prep haul like you might see online. But the intention is that it saves a lot of time during the work week when you're able to simply reheat and eat your meals. There are numerous ways to incorporate various degrees of batch cooking to suit your needs and your schedule. So you can prepare a range of interchangeable ingredients, such as a sheet pan of roasted vegetables that can be a side dish or in addition to a salad or grains. You can have grains pre-cooked that are really easy to incorporate into like a rice bowl or a salad, proteins that are pre-done that can be quickly packed into a wrap or a soup or a side, you name it, really, right? And you can also batch cook by doing all the kitchen prep work ahead in one big batch. So that's a version of batch cooking as well. Washing and chopping all of your produce for the week, pre-marinating any of your proteins, boiling your beans, or making a nice big green salad to be portioned out throughout the week. It can be, again, any degree of kind of making things easier for yourself. You can also prepare dishes to their entirety to be portioned out and reheated through the week. That would allow you to just simply heat and eat your food. And oftentimes we'll see that for lunch or for dinner meals throughout the week. All right, utilizing kitchen gadgets. I love a good kitchen gadget. My storage space in my kitchen, not so much, but we've got all kinds of kitchen gadgets. And this doesn't mean you've got to go out and, run and purchase the next kitchen gadget you see by any means, but utilizing what you do have. Or I've even seen it where people will come together, one person will bring the crock pot and another person will bring an air fryer or something like that, and they all prep together So that's an option too. But really, there are so many tools that can help us save time and energy. Slow cookers, pressure cookers, air fryers, blenders, food processors, they all come in handy when we're trying to eat healthy while having a busy lifestyle. Many of today's kitchen tools offer multi-use cooking, such as an instant pot that can also double as a slow cooker or an air fryer that has a pressure cooker built into it. It's amazing what these kitchen gadgets can do these days. Whatever your need may be, there's likely a tool out there that suits your needs. Some of today's gadgets even come with smartphone applications. It blows my mind, you guys, but they can be used to turn that application or that appliance on or off, or set a cooking duration and a temperature remotely, which is incredible. I can't believe it. Slow cookers, or by brand name crock pots, allow you to put all the ingredients into the cooker at the start of the day and come home to a tasty meal that's ready to eat. Using slow cookers is a great way to incorporate batch cooking, like we were just talking about as well. Think something like taco meat chicken or taco meat beans that can be used in salads or burrito bowls or tacos throughout the week. Instant pots, which is a pressure cooker, and air fryers require a little bit more hands-on attention and for use. However, the pressure cooker, the instant pot, can cook frozen proteins in a fraction of the time that it would even take you to defrost protein in the first place. Air fryers can quickly cook proteins and produce to absolute perfection, allowing you to have a healthy meal on the table in little to no time at all. And you can also, like I said, you can also come together with some of your friends and utilize some of the cooking gadgets that they have to create some meals in your life. So let's talk about taking advantage of your routine. Busy people, I always encourage them to capitalize on what I call the bookends of their day to make meals happen. So that might be the wee hours of the morning and the start of your day, or maybe even into the evening after the day's work is done. If you know that you're an early riser, can consider cooking dinner in the morning before work to be heated up later that evening, or even use that time to roast veggies or batch cook protein or to chop all of the stuff that you need for dinner that night. You might even consider using that time to do your meal planning, or, like I said, some light kind of preparation of ingredients to cut down on later cooking time. I am an early riser, and my family is never surprised when they wake up for the day and they might smell spaghetti sauce being made, or they might smell a turkey meatloaf that I put into the oven at 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's what works best for my time schedule. If you find yourself to be more of a night owl, you could consider shifting some of your cooking into the later evening hours when you have some of that downtime. I find really the key to success can be found in just leveraging that bookend time that we would otherwise use for like unwinding activities such as watching TV or lounging around the house, especially in the evening times, right? It's also a great time to set up your crock pot, slow cooker, instant pot to have a fully cooked meal come morning time that can quickly be packed into containers for a healthy lunch or stored to be used in a future meal. So keep that in mind too. Using our own routines and patterns to our advantage can be super helpful. Picking the better option. This one's important too. So not always are we in a situation where we can control the food options available, right? In that instance, we want to just simply work on picking the better available option. So that can help, overall reducing the consumption of less nutritious foods over time. So let's say you're at your local cafe going for the roasted vegetable frittata rather than the sweet breakfast pastry. If you were at a bakery going for the more balanced meal, like a chicken salad wrap or a chickpea salad wrap, instead of a higher fat choice like a sausage kolache or a fried donut or a treat. At the convenience store, opting for the protein packed bagged nuts or jerky, dried fruit, or low sugar granola bar over the candy bars, the potato chips, the chocolates, etc. in a drive-through, opting for an egg white breakfast sandwich with fresh fruit on the side instead of a calorie-dense breakfast sandwich loaded with cheese and breakfast meats paired with hash browns. Working to choose the better option is also a great way to stop the mentality of like, oh, I'll just start over on Monday or I'll just start over in March. We still have like 3 weeks till then, right? So this is where we can kind of self-sabotage our eating habits because we feel like our environment or our actions aren't at that moment healthy enough. So why even bother, right? Here, we unintentionally kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. Instead, let's commend ourselves for picking the better option from the bunch that's available, and we just move on. That's one of the best ways that we can be healthy in mind and in body when food choices are not in our control. Let's talk about snacking. Snacking is something that is a hot topic in a lot of my sessions. Most people snack. So we want to just work on snacking smartly, whether that's in the car, in our office, snacks that we throw into our handbag or our briefcase, wherever. When we are busy and hunger strikes, it's only natural to reach for the nearest or most convenient food item, right? So like if I'm hungry and there's nothing available, I'm finding a vending machine or I'm pulling into a drive-through. If I'm hungry, we're hungry, right? We got to make something happen. So let's make those available choices the healthiest choices possible. While schedule changes are really inevitable, having a stash of healthy snack options ensures that there's a nutritious helping hand on board to keep us going and bridge the gap between our main meals without trips to vending machines or convenience stores that may offer less nutritious options. Here's some things that you could try. Individually portioned bags of nuts or seeds, nut-rich granola bars, like the kind granola bars, but not the ones with chocolate. They offer a satiating protein boost and help us feel fuller for longer between meals. And they're shelf stable for work drawers or other stash spots that you might have. There's other quick protein options out there, including pre-mixed shelf stable protein shakes, tuna or chicken packets, jerky, protein bars. You can even get like the freeze-dried edamame if you're a plant protein eater. Other shelf-stable healthy snacks include things like whole grain or high fiber crackers, dried fruit without sugar added, and homemade low sugar trail mix with lots of nuts and seeds in it. I'm a big fan of that. If you have access to a refrigerator in your workplace, or perhaps on your days if you get to work remotely, keeping some fresh cut fruits and vegetables, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, hummus, guacamole. These can all be nice snack options between meals. And many of these foods can be purchased like kind of pre-cut or pre-prepared for busy individuals like yourselves. Eat mindfully even when we're busy. So I have people often ask me, like, what does it mean to be mindful? Or how do I practice mindfulness? And to put it simply, mindfulness is just being in this present moment. So if you ever hung out with me on my meditation Mondays, you know I say that a lot. We're anchoring to this present moment. That is a cultivation of mindfulness. Busy people like yourselves are kings and queens of multitasking. However, sometimes multitasking can kind of backfire. And in the case of eating, that may be the case. Think about your classic movie theater experience. Anybody here like going to the movies? I love going to the movies. This has definitely happened to me before. You buy the bucket of popcorn, you pick out your seat, you start watching the previews, crunching and munching away. And before the movie even starts, you're scratching at that bottom of the popcorn bucket and you're asking yourself, wait, where did all my popcorn go? Is that anybody else in here? I'm sure I can't be alone. This is a classic case of distracted eating, and most busy people find themselves unintentionally distractedly eating more often than not. So, eating lunch while on a meeting or eating lunch while watching a presentation, I might be talking to you, snacking while taking or making calls, not stepping away from our desk or our computers for a meal, you name it, right? We've probably done all of it and then some. What most people don't know is that we consume many more calories and much bigger portions when we're distractedly eating. And we experience decreased satisfaction from that meal as well, which then leads us to seek out more food later as our brain is seeking that satisfaction factor from your meal. So it really does pay to step away, take a break, and practice mindfulness around meal times. Our bodies digest food better. We are more attuned to our own cues for hunger, fullness, satiety, or that feeling of kind of stomach fullness and satisfaction. And we're less likely to overeat when we're not distracted. Chewing slowly, giving yourself time to truly savor your meal and noticing all the aspects of your meal, how it looks, how it smells, how it tastes, and how it feels when you're eating the food that's in front of you, all matters. You can practice mindfulness at meal times by setting aside a dedicated break time for meals and snacks, stepping away from your desk and reducing your distractions. That includes your phone, emails, computers, televisions, even books while we eat. All right, let's keep going here, friends. Let's talk about prioritizing meal regularity. So, how many of us have skipped lunch in favor of meeting a deadline or attending an impromptu meeting or taking an extra call to push a project a little bit further, right? It's totally been me. There have been times where my family will check on me and say, "Oh, how's your workday going?" And I go, "Oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock. I haven't even had lunch." And I'm the health coach. So I get it. I am just like you guys. This is the struggle of so many working individuals balancing the needs of our jobs and the needs of our bodies, especially at meal times. Skipping meals may seem really easy to do with a busy schedule, but you'll probably find that it hinders more than helps you in the long run. So, eating meals regularly throughout our day helps us balance our blood sugar and provide stable energy. And when we skip meals, we're more likely to experience fatigue, brain fog, challenges with focus and concentration, and even challenges with motivation to keep working as the day stretches on. Additionally, the hungrier we get, the less likely we are to make healthy choices. That logical part of our brain just kind of jumps ship when we become ravenously hungry. And suddenly we find ourselves eating whatever's in sight as much as we can, as fast as we can. Prioritizing meals throughout your day will provide your brain and your body the nourishment and energy they both need to work optimally, and it will also cue you up to make better choices as the day continues as well, keeping ravenous hunger at bay. If you find yourself regularly skipping meals, you might start shifting this by blocking your calendar for lunch and sticking to it. That second part is key, or even blocking shorter breaks for snacks throughout your day if you find a whole lunch break just isn't feasible in this season of your life or the work that you're doing. And lastly, staying hydrated, super, super important. Has anybody here experienced a work day where you start off with the best of intentions regarding drinking your water, and then by the day's end, you're totally parched and realize you haven't even finished the first bottle you started hours and hours ago? Has that happened to anybody? And then you get like that gnarly headache. Oh, so terrible. You're not alone. Many individuals get swept up in work tasks and duties throughout our day and forget to drink water and stay properly hydrated. Water enables all the body's functions to do their jobs properly, especially our brain. Even 1% dehydration can show up as brain fog for some individuals. Drinking 8 to 10 cups of water at a minimum daily helps to assure adequate hydration, giving the body the water that it needs to operate optimally. I'm going to put a little asterisk there. If you are somebody that has a kidney condition or a cardiac condition, you have likely a very specific fluid intake target, and the recommended guideline here may not apply to you. So please seek out medical professional for an understanding of your own fluid target. You can work on improving your hydration by keeping a refillable water bottle at your desk. Exhibit A. I call this my emotional support water bottle. It goes with me everywhere I go. And that just having it next to you can cue you to drink more water. You can also set calendar reminders to drink water every hour. You can use a straw in your cup or bottle to increase how much water you're drinking at a time. Or you can set even a number of sips you'll take each time that you drink from your bottle. Some individuals struggle with the taste of plain water and find that to be a barrier to drinking water. You can try adding true citrus packets to your water. They've got lemon, lime, orange, grapefruit, a number of different flavors. It's just simply crystallized fruit with no other additives or preservatives. You could also flavor your water with water infusion water bottles or pitchers that you can infuse things like cucumber or melon, mint, berries, or lemon into your water for added taste without added sugar. Sparkling or carbonated water also helps get people closer to their water goals. And keep in mind, it's not just water, it's all fluids. So if you drink coffee or tea, milk or juice, if you drink broth or have soup, that all goes towards your hydration goals for the day. All right, my friends, as promised, I wanted to leave some time here at the end to go ahead and answer questions for you. So please feel free to pop your questions into the chat. I've got our chat open here, or you're more than welcome to come off of mute if you feel comfortable and ask your question. I'm going to stick around for the next few minutes as long as folks have questions. Otherwise, if you want targeted help with managing your busy lifestyle and eating well for your health or for specific health goals that you have, I want to encourage you to reach out. You can find me on the county teams, or you can email me at shannon_parks@umr.com to set up an individual appointment at no cost to you. Let's see, we've got a question in the chat. Do you have any suggestions of simple and fast meals that are still balanced with protein, carbs, and veggies? Absolutely. So when it comes to something like this, Sarah, and great question, thank you for being our brave first question asker. But for something like this, I always tell people keep it as simple as possible. So this is not the time to bust out the recipes with like 87 ingredients on them. We don't have time for that. We're trying to keep it simple. So what I might do is I might batch cook a whole bunch of beans all at once, like throw them all in my slow cooker. Or if I'm going to do animal-based protein, I might marinate a whole pack of chicken breasts and bake them all at once or grill them all at once. If I'm using the oven to bake it all, I'm also going to throw in a sheet pan of veggies. Or if I'm using my grill, I might grill my veggies because I could do it all at once, and then I'll do steam in the bag grains. Or I might even skip the grains because not always do we need that grain. So I would keep it just really, really simple. You can also, and I've done this in times in my life as well, I've purchased a rotisserie chicken and have deboned it and taken all the skin and the bones out and used the meat across various recipes throughout my week. Kept it really easy. I'm a big fan of frozen veggies to pop in the microwave or boil over the stove really quickly as well. So I would say the key is to just keep it as simple as possible. Simple, simple, simple. That's going to save you time for sure. So hopefully that helps, Sarah. What other questions do we have? Aha, we've got another question. When does batch foods like rice dishes, how do you know whether it's good to reheat? I saw that you shouldn't eat cooked rice after 24 hours because it grows bacteria really quickly. That's very interesting. I have not also heard that. Cooked food typically stays good in your refrigerator for 3 to 5 days, depending on the food. So most foods are 5 days. Some foods are closer to 3 days, like fish is going to be closer to 3 days. But most of your foods in the fridge are good for 5 days. If you wanted to make it even safer, you could batch cook, and this is kind of what I do sometimes. I'll batch cook a bunch of rice, and then I will portion out like 1 cup of rice and put it into a container to go into the fridge. And then I know I can just pull out 1 cup at a time of cooked rice and put that into a container. So that might be really easy. The other thing is when you're reheating, you want to reheat your food if you're using a microwave for at least 2 minutes. or until the internal temperature is greater than 160 degrees. That is going to kill off any harmful bacteria that could be in your food. But as a general rule, 3 to 5 days in the refrigerator, up to 6 months in the freezer. And I always encourage people, if you are batch cooking, put a label on your food and make sure that the label, the date that you put on the label is the date that you prepared the food, not the date that it expires. So that you can look back and go, oh, okay, I prepared this on February 10th. It's now February 14th. I'm good. I still have one more day. So hopefully that helps you. What other questions do we have? Got some great ones in the chat so far. So it's great. Like I said, feel free to come off of mute if it's easier for you to speak your question than it is to type it out. I'm a big fan of just finding all the little hacks that we need to make healthy eating a possibility, regardless of the season of life that we might be in. I like to keep it very simple for people, very realistic. Any other questions? What is the recipe website? Yes. Oh, Nikki. Hey, Nikki, I didn't realize you were on. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in the chat. I love this recipe website. It is called skinnytaste.com. I'm a huge fan. I've been following that website for, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 years, honestly. I love it because the recipes on there are the website is run by a registered dietitian. And so all the recipes on there are going to be optimized for better nutrition, better ingredients, higher protein, lower sodium, lower fat, etc. And she has tons of different recipe categories. So vegan, vegetarian, keto, high protein, I mean, you name it. She also has, I think, like slow cooker meals as a category. She's got 30-minute meals as a category. So and she creates free meal plans on her website as well. So definitely check that out. But a little asterisk, I will say, if you are kind of getting into the swing of batch cooking, I do not encourage you to use a recipe website or a recipe in general because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm cooking a new recipe, it's like, okay, I do a step, I look at the paper. I do another step, I look at the paper. I do one more step, I look at the paper, right? And so I'm going back and forth, back and forth. And that actually adds a lot of time. We may not even realize that versus something I know how to cook up in my mind. Like I know how to grill chicken or cook a pot of beans, right? I can do that based on my knowledge of doing it before. And that is going to make the process a lot quicker. But if you are looking for recipes, I love that website. So great ask, Nikki. Thank you. All right, friends. Any other questions? And if you come up with questions afterwards, you can feel free to message me or email me. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I will send out a recording of today's presentation as well. So you'll have access to that if you want to look back and read it, or I mean, watch it or read it, I guess. All right, friends. It doesn't look like there's any more questions coming into the chat. You are welcome. I'm so glad to have been here with you. Thanks for hanging out with me, and for dialing in to learn how to eat healthier as a busy individual. I'm so proud of you for taking the time to join this presentation, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Be well, my friends.